This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get great information. Oh man, this is beautiful information on Mafia, the old country. Sony is working on the technology to make the PS5 Pro even better than it is today. But the caveat is, you're gonna have to wait about a year to see that difference. We get more details about Death Stranding 2. And I will say, brothers and sisters, this game has me quite interested in it. Oh, we got to talk about it. And could another GTA 6 trailer be coming very soon? Oh, I highly doubt it. But some reports out there are saying something a little different. But all of these stories can be found here and a lot more in episode 256 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and welcome to the show. Come on in, sit down and relax, because we're going to have a great conversation today. And if you're traveling, hopefully we can accompany you to your destination. Now, with that being said, if you want to be a part of listener feedback, and shout out to you, Cody Clark, I got your emails, brother, and I'm going to read them on the next episode. But if you do want to be a part of listener feedback, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-627-9087 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show. And the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. So without further ado, I do think it is time to get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So I want to get things started with Nintendo this week, because we all know, and matter of fact, I got this story from WCCF Tech. So we all know that the Nintendo Switch 2 is quickly approaching release. Now, it will be out in, I would say, it's going to be less than a month. Now, we also know it's going to be stronger hardware for Nintendo. For Nintendo, that is the key word. These jokers is living back in 86 right now with some of their technology. But one interesting thing was said from Digital Foundry. Now, they said they don't think the system, because listen, the Switch 2, we know it's not on the same level as the PlayStation 5. We know it's not on the same level as the Series X. And even some reports are saying it's not even on the same level as the Series S. So you have to wonder, how deep is this rabbit hole going to go as far as the power of the console goes? Well, like I just mentioned, Digital Foundry, they had quite a few interesting things to say. Now, they said they don't think the system will handle and support the full set of Unreal Engine 5 features simultaneously. Like, for instance, Nanite, virtual shadow maps, and Lumen won't all be able to be used at once on a game. Even targeting, and this is the thing, even a game that is targeting simply 30 frames per second, it is a good chance that you're not going to be able to get all of those different features all at one time running on the same game, even at 30 frames.
What did he say?
I'm telling you, it's going to be an interesting time when this thing comes out. Now, that's not the only thing, and this is the other thing. So they're going to be targeting 30 frames per second, not going to be able to have all of the different bells and whistles. And it's going to be with significant compromises in terms of resolution, performance, and image quality. Now, to be completely fair, Series X and PS5, they struggle to run Unreal Engine 5 games with all three features enabled. And because Switch 2 is weaker hardware than those two are, I might add, it will struggle even more with these things. Now, Digital Foundry also pointed to Fortnite being a good reference point to look at when it's running on the Switch 2, where in the Battle Royale, The game is running at 60 frames per second, but without lumen, which can be very taxing for most machines. So this just continues to show that, look, Nintendo, man, these jokers, they just think that they are the creme de la creme out here. You know, just being able to charge $80 and $90 for their games and, you know, just thinking that people are going to go out there and buy their consoles and they're going to pay whatever Nintendo tells you to pay. But yet, with Unreal Engine 5 and being fair about it, we know that the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, and definitely the Series S, do struggle with those three features being on at the same time, but they can do it. But yet Nintendo, according to Digital Foundry, when it comes to the Switch 2, they are going to have an even harder time doing those same features that you're going to be almost paying the same amount for, because let's not forget, tariffs have not kicked in on the Series X. I mean, not the Series X, pardon me. They didn't already kicked in. Coming soon. But on the Nintendo Switch 2, they haven't kicked in yet. So that $500 price point right now, you know, including, to be fair, including Mario Kart World, that could skyrocket up to $600 easily, which means that now you're pretty much in the same boat yet again with your direct competition being Xbox and PlayStation. So it's going to be very interesting. The one thing I will say, and I'll continue to say, that Nintendo does have going for them is that handheld mode. I can't lie. I'm not a handheld game. I could care less about the handheld mode, but I do know that there are gamers out there that will enjoy this feature. They got that going for them, but outside of that, it is just going to be interesting. I am so curious to know how many people will end up getting a Switch in this generation at $500 plus. And we know that Nintendo, no matter what's going on, these jokers could be sinking like the Titanical ship. They could be sinking out here, and they are going to keep the price where it is. Y'all saw the Wii U. The Wii U, they rode that joker to the rim, fell completely off the wheel. Those jokers never lowered the price. And here it is with the Switch, the original Switch. I ain't seen a price cut yet. I have not seen one. That thing is still $300 for 60-year-old hardware. That joker had hardware when it came out. It was outdated. So yet Nintendo, they are going to ride this out. $500, $600, whatever the case may be, that is going to be the price of this console. I'm just curious to know how many people are going to pick it up. But that's just a little bit of insight as to what we can expect from the Switch 2 when it comes to Unreal Engine 5. Because y'all know Unreal Engine is my favorite. And, you know, with them not being able to be quite up to snuff like everybody else, it just draws a clear picture of where the Switch 2 is going to land when it comes down to the power, to the prowess, the power graphical prowess of what the Switch 2 is going to be able to do. But let's go ahead and let's get into the next story that I actually got from the gamer. So let's get things started. We already started with Nintendo, but let's continue with Microsoft. So, man, listen to this. If you have been listening to the podcast for any extended period of time, any time frame, then you know at one point in my life, I preferred the Xbox platform. But late in the last generation, I started feeling, you know, like I wasn't a priority. I was underappreciated. PC getting games. Shout out to Chris. PC getting games that I don't even have on my platform that I'm paying you for. They got free online, giving them all kinds of exclusives that I can't even get on my console. I start feeling like, man, I'm a second, third class citizen. What is going on here? So that's why, you know, after a while, I jump ship over to the PlayStation. PlayStation has been doing me very, very swell, I might add. And today, Xbox seems even less concerned about their prior, I'm not even going to say their prior base, their player base. Even people that were prior on the console and people today, their current player base, they seem even less concerned about. Because leading us up to this situation, which is, of course, Gears of War Reloaded, being released on PlayStation. Here it is. You got Forza on PlayStation. You got Gears of War on PlayStation. Halo is just a matter of time. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because it's a little bit more to this situation.
But wait, it gets worse.
Listen to this. According to the Spanish Twitter account for video game retailer Game, first spotted by Reddit user HotCause481, Reloaded, Gears of War that is getting a physical release on PlayStation and PC, but they will not be getting a physical release on Xbox. What? You gotta be kidding me, brothers and sisters. Are you serious? How are you gonna give PlayStation and PC a physical release of a game that was built on your platform, one of your pillars of your console, the big three, as it were? PlayStation, we're going to give you the physical copy. Enjoy yourself with that. Even PC. When the world does PC get physical anything? Most of that stuff is on Steam. But yet, for your fan base that is stuck with you through thick and thin, that is paid their money. Listen, this stuff was not free. You have a certain amount of Xbox fans that really stuck in there. They weren't going to PlayStation. They were Team Green, Xbox. And finally, you start getting some joints that you can release, and all of a sudden, now you want to give everything away. God, dog. Where is the, man, not the loyalty, because these companies, they darn sure ain't loyal to none of us. They just want our money and have a great day. But dang, could you at least fake it a little bit? These jokers said, man, y'all ain't buying no games, man. Listen, if you want it, get it digitally and have fun with that. So much so, man, now it makes sense. Do y'all remember I was reading y'all the caveats of what it would take for you to get the free upgrade if you had Gears of War, the first, it wasn't a remake, but you know, the first Gears of War that actually appeared on Xbox One, how they said you needed the digital version in order to get the upgraded version for free of Gears of War Reloaded. Makes complete sense, God dog. I mean, this just further goes into, I guess, what Xbox is trying to do, and that's go all digital. They are pretty much, I guess they are rewarding people that have the digital only copy of the game, and everybody else, man, nah, I'm not rocking with y'all. Y'all got physical. We don't like those over here no more. Physical is terrible. So here it is again, PlayStation doing something. Now, hold on. Now, wait a minute. Let me put it all in perspective, because we got to be fair here. Now, Game is a retailer in Europe. So, I mean, Game is like GameStop here in the States, but they are a retailer overseas for us, you know, in Europe. So maybe from that perspective, maybe this non-physical release is a reflection of, you know, just maybe how bad the Xbox brand is actually doing in that territory. But if it comes out to be true that even here in the States, you're not offering a physical copy of the game, but you're giving your direct competition, which I understand. People are saying more and more every day, PlayStation is not direct competition. They're more of an ally. for Xbox right now. But as long as they got a console out there, I don't give a doggone. They are competition directly, them and Nintendo. If you have a console out there, then they're competition. Until they finally pull the plug on that mother lover, you are direct competition. So here it is. You're giving them one of your pillars physically, but yet the guys that have supported your console, enjoyed your console, you give them nothing but a digital release. I know for some, this may be a small deal, might not be something that a lot of people are tripping on, but me, I do love my physicals. Oh man, I like to touch them. I like to, just see them, see them on my shelf. It gives me a little bit of comfort. Just like on Tommy Boy, the movie where the guy said the guarantee is on the box. You can see it. Makes you feel good about your purchase. So I'm in that boat. And if this does end up being true, that they're not giving the Xbox fan base a physical copy, golly, Microsoft, Xbox, shame on you. I don't know how anybody is still on the Xbox platform. They'll say Game Pass, mother lover. Kiaun is Game Pass. I understand that. But would it be, let me ask you this, would it be cheaper? As gamers, we know that we can only have so many games that we're playing at one time, so, and the backlog is always crazy for a lot of us, being working adults, having families, different things that we have to attend to. I would ask the question, how many games are you actually playing on Game Pass? And once you literally play those games, does it add up to the value of how much it costs a year? Just curious to know. But anyway, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and let's get into the next story that I got from PlayStation Blog. Xbox, y'all are killing me. And I don't even have the doggone console. But man, anyway, let's go ahead and let's move forward. So we got some first impressions on Death Stranding 2 that, if you weren't aware, once again, it releases on June 26th. So one feature that I like, oh man, and this is great, is the recap feature, where from the title screen, you can actually look at the events that took place, from the game prior. So I love that because I have Death Stranding. I never finished it. I don't think I would have ever finished Death Stranding. Man, it was just so rough. It was so bad for me. It was just a game I couldn't get into. But this Death Stranding 2, more I keep hearing about it, the more it interests me. So just the fact that you can actually recap everything from the first game to get you up to speed, I definitely do like that. Now, the game's location, they actually broke that down as well. The game's location will be from Mexico to Australia. Now, the preview also said that the game has a fast. Now, this is where it kind of hit me in my feels a little bit. Well, not my feels, but it kind of made me feel a certain way. I said, okay, this might be a game that I can get into, because the preview said that the game has a fast-paced narrative and gameplay. Where as the other game, man, that joker was at a snail's pace. The story came on pretty good. You was getting some character development, had a couple of cutscenes. Things was looking beautiful, looking all great with the graphics and everything, graphicking out there. But then it would be the gameplay was a slosh. It was like going through water. High water where you can barely move. It was just very, very slow. So just the fact that this game has a faster pace, like a fast-paced narrative and gameplay, where, like I said, as the other game had a slower pace, that gets me very excited. And speaking of pace, according to the preview, you'll get access to new equipment and structures much earlier in the game. That is awesome. I love it. Making me suffer through this gameplay. I love that. Give me the stuff early and up front, because you got to get me at the door. Some games, you just got to get my attention at the door. I'll give you an hour or two, to try to see if it's something there. By hour two, I'm going to start fading. And if it seems like it's going to be that slow of a pace, you're going to lose me. So just the fact that you can actually get access to things, much earlier than in the previous game. That is A+ for me. But that's not all we found out. Now, you also have an option to switch to an aerial camera view, which allows you to take in the vastness of the world. Now, think about a drone shot, where you're walking up this big mountain, Mount Everest, even though I know that's not in Australia or Mexico. I'm just saying, you're walking up this huge mountain, and all of a sudden you want to just take in the breathtakenness of what you're doing right now. You get to roll that camera out, and you actually get to get that aerial view that actually shows you the vast world, everything around it. Oh man, I got to say this about Death Stranding 2 as well. That game is beautiful. I mean, it's been up on some people's channels where they have about 35. Some of them have almost an hour worth of gameplay. And I will say that game is a looker. Yeah, it looks very, very good. And I'm just thinking about having these different environments and things of that nature where you can zoom the camera out and see things from like an aerial view. Oh man, it could be very, very interesting. Now, on top of that, something that's brand new to the game, they have actually added a day and night cycle to the game as well that you can use to your advantage. Now, they were given some instances, like during the day, enemies in the terrain are more visible. So, you're more of a threat to the NPCs because they can see you. They'll be able to see you. They'll be able to pinpoint you, and bam, they're going to knock you off. But if you go in at night on the same mission, you're less likely to be spotted, and it's easier to sneak around, which makes me believe. Now, listen, I played Death Stranding. Told you I ain't getting no further than probably 3 hours in that game, and I think I'm being generous to myself. But just thinking about that aspect of it, does that mean you gonna be creeping and crawling like Solid Snake out here in the world of Mexico and Australia? I'm just very curious to know. We saw that wannabe snake that was in one of the Death Stranding trailers already. So just the fact that they're talking about being able to sneak around at night makes me wonder, good grief, is it a little bit of espionage that's going on in the game? But we'll see. Now, with that being said, it's going to be, and this is the other thing that gets me really, really interested in this game. And I've mentioned it before, but just for the preview's sake, I'll just mention it again. They said it's going to be spontaneous natural hazards that will be happening, such as falling rocks. Man, imagine you going up a mountain or something, bro. All of a sudden, man, you got a rock avalanche going on, rocks coming down and whatnot, and you trying to get up out the way. Oh, I'm just imagining what that's gonna be like for the environment. Like, how's that gonna look? You're climbing and you get a hold of a bad rock, and that joker slip off, and all of a sudden it makes a chain effect of different rocks or more rocks coming down after you. Well, not after you necessarily, but just dropping and falling. I'm just imagining, man, that could be nice. It could kind of keep you on your toes. So I love the fact that things will be happening, as they said in the preview, naturally, natural hazards. Now, the falling rocks aren't the only thing. They had mentioned earthquakes, depending on where you are. God, dog, that'd be terrible. You up there climbing up a mountain or whatever, and all of a sudden the earthquake starts and the rocks start falling and whatnot. I mean, I just used that scenario, so I ain't gonna say too much on that. Or what if it's, and I'm not gonna go too far off a limb, but if Kojima's being extra detailed, like we know he has been in the past. I mean, this guy is a legend. I give him a hard time, but no doubt, Kojima, he is definitely a legend, for all of the things that he's done in gaming. He just been slipping a little bit. He's been slipping, the last couple of years. But if he's a little more detailed with it, I'm just imagining if an earthquake happens and all of a sudden where you're trying to get to, the ground separates a little bit. Now you got a bit of an obstacle to get around to get to where you want to get to. I mean, I'm probably thinking a little too ambitious, But, we'll see. We'll see what the effects of something like that would be in the world. And then they also talked about heavy rain being a situation where it'll make it so certain areas that you're in could flood, like it would be flooded rivers, depending on how heavy the rain gets. So it just seems like the environment is really alive. And that really, really interests me. And then they even brought up it'll be wildfires that actually happen in the world. So, man, you just walking along in a forest, man, and all of a sudden, I don't know, a fire starts. I mean, I'm just thinking of this stuff on the fly. I ain't got nothing really completely laid out on the way it could happen, but I'm just imagining all of these different hazards happening in real time, and being in a forest, and imagine it looks one way at one moment, but then once the fire is over, the trees are burned up, now you got a clear view as to where you're going and all kinds of stuff. Do the animals run away? And I'm just thinking all kinds of stuff. But nonetheless, Death Stranding 2, Kojima, you really got my attention on this one. Now, it seems like this game has made quite a few improvements over the last game. There's certain things were just a turnoff for me. But it seems like he's rectifying those problems. But only time will tell. June is going to be a stat month. Hold on, man. Let's see what the heck is coming out in June. Doesn't Mind's Eye come out in June? And we got quite a few things coming out. Hold on. Let's see. What games release in June? Here we go. All right, so here's the list. This is from IGN. They're going to give us a list of some of the games if this thing can load up fast enough. All right, so hold on. All right, so that's May, not May. We need June. Give me like 10 seconds. We'll get there. I don't think we're going to get there. They still talking about May. Oh, here's June. All right, so I ain't worried about Nintendo. Well, Cyberpunk 2077. Nah, we already played. I ain't doing this. Hold on. All right, I got a lot of Nintendo stuff here. Whole bunch of Nintendo stuff. Hold on. All right, Death Stranding 2. Darn, that can't be the only game coming out in June. Well, that's what it looks like, but I know Mind's Eye is coming out in June sometime. When does Mind's Eye release? I ain't going to do this. I ain't going to waste your time. Anyway, June, I know it's quite a few games coming out that month. There's a nice amount of games coming out this month, too. Matter of fact, The Precinct actually releases on Wednesday. That's a game that I'm looking forward to. No, it's not Grand Theft Auto. It's kind of Grand Theft Auto similar, but you're actually a cop. But it plays like the older Grand Theft Autos from the overview, view. But it looks really, really good. It's a game that looks very promising. That and Deliver at All Costs, which I believe comes out May 22nd. So this month is going to be a really good month as well. But June, along with the Switch releasing and having Death Stranding 2 release as well as Mind's Eye, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be a great month. Very great month for anybody that is a gamer. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's move on into the next situation. Speaking of Nintendo, let's talk about them right now from an article that I got from VGC. So the Switch 2 is coming in a few weeks. Like I mentioned before, it's going to release with some games that we've already played. Like I just got upset just even mentioning Cyberpunk 2077. That's not a new game. Most of us have played it. Maybe not finished it, like myself. I haven't finished it, but I have played it. So not only that, but you got a game that I found is very interesting. You got Hogwarts Legacy coming out. Now, for me, it's about how well the Switch 2 version will run this game to, again, give us an idea of how strong the console actually is. Now, we understand that Unreal Engine 5, the console is not going to be able to do a lot when it comes to that engine, but it's tons of different engines around that various developers use. So, which again brings us to Hogwarts Legacy. Now let me make sure that this ain't Unreal Engine 5 first. Let me double check. What engine was Hogwarts Legacy made in? Is bringing it up because Google it. Oh shucks, it's Unreal Engine 4.
Boo this man!
Oh man! Well, hold on, don't boo me just yet. Hold on. Now it said Unreal Engine 4. Give me a break, okay? It's not the 5. All right, doggone, it's Unreal Engine 4. So give me a little bit of grace with this one. So let's just look at this just to give us an idea of how much stronger the console actually is. So, according to a Japanese press release by Sega, who is publishing the Nintendo version of this game, which is crazy, they were at odds. It's like Microsoft and Sony. God, dog, that was the original. Man, I mean, Nintendo, man, Sega does what Nintendo don't. Come on, man, golly, I'm all tongue-tied. Let me get on with this doggone story. But they're gonna be actually publishing it on the Nintendo Switch 2. So the game will render, and this is kind of impressive. It's going to render at 1440p resolution while docked. Now in handheld mode, it's going to be at a 1080p resolution. Well, to be fair, just said 1080. Well, yeah, 1080p resolution. What am I doing? With both modes supporting HDR. Sounds pretty good. Now, the game will also support NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling technique, making it the second game to use it, Cyberpunk 2077 being the first, which is, man, I will say, having NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling technique on the Switch 2, very, very interesting. Now, it will feature, quote, improved lighting and shadow quality, anti-aliasing, and much more significantly upgraded graphics for a deeper immersive experience, end of quote, which is nice. I like that. But one of the most notable features, man, and I think anybody that has played the Switch version will agree. Now, granted, I'm not including myself in this. I got Hogwarts on PS5. I would have never dared to get this game on the doggone Nintendo Switch. Are you nuts? Ain't no darn way. But for others who have had to be subjected to that version of the game, and I do feel for you. I shed a tear for you, doggone it. Being able to go through that, having to play that game on the Switch. Oh my God. And I know y'all was crying some tears over there. But the thing is, though, with this version, the Nintendo Switch 2 version, it not only has improved, it's not only improved on the frame rate from the original Nintendo Switch version, but it also reduced the loading time for the Switch 2 version, and it will support mouse controls. Once again, we got to talk about this loading times, these quote loading times, end of quote, where it was a situation where you could be in the world of Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch version. You go into a shop and it would load up the shop. Once you left the shop, it had to load the world up again once you left the shop. What they are saying is that has been reduced. They didn't say significantly, but they did say it was reduced. And I do believe it's going to be a much, much, much better experience, because it's nothing worse than having to go through these different parts. Like we're back in 2006, playing a game where it took loading for every single thing. It was loading. But now we get to the point where with the Switch 2, those loading times have been very much so improved. And the other thing, like I mentioned, which makes this very interesting, is this game, and this isn't the first game I've heard of that has this, and neither is it for you, but this game will support mouse control. So I will definitely be interested to see how that works. So overall, I would say coming in at 1440p, having NVIDIA's DLSS, having better improved loading times, being able to even be at 1080p undocked, this thing sounds pretty good. You know, having lighting and shadow quality, anti-aliasing, upgraded graphics. It seems like the Switch 2. I mean, it could be something. Again, it's not PS5. It's not Series X. But for Nintendo, this seems to be a pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say, I darn near want to say great, but I ain't going to give them that darn much credit. But I will say this sounds like a pretty good, really solid upgrade when it comes to the Switch 2. It's just, man, those doggone prices of the games are a problem. But we're going to get past that. But we'll see what happens on June 5th, because you know one thing, on that day, June 5th is going to kick off a slew of different videos that Digital Foundry will be doing, comparing. Now, I don't know if Digital Foundry said they're not going to compare the Switch 2 version to the PS5 and the Series X version. I don't know if they said that. For some reason, I feel like I heard them say it, but I could be absolutely wrong. So don't quote me on that. But if they don't, that is a disservice. If Digital Foundry does not compare these games to their competition, and now it is direct competition because the price point says so, then that's a disservice to the people that look at Digital Foundry, me included in that. So we'll see how they play it. But let's get on into a little bit. I ain't even going to say a little bit, some great Mafia news that I actually got from Gamer Rant. So, man, now this was shocking. I'm sure it wasn't just shocking for me. For others that looked at it, I'm sure it was shocking for them. But last week we found out Mafia, the old country, oh my gosh, will retail for $50. $50! Oh my gosh! Now, I saw that, and I saw that. Oh, by the way, golly. Hold on, man. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull something up, because you know, I got to find this thing. If you haven't, by any chance, seen Mafia, the old country, the video of it, man, let's go through it together. Let's listen to this, man.
Come in. Bravery is not common in this world, and so loyalty, honor, obedience, they set the man apart from the rest. You took care of Messina, but this matter is not yet resolved. Will you help me bring it to a close? Of course. Don't worry.
Man, he set him on fire. Man, he's driving in this 1903 sports car. This thing is amazing. Man, the physics look good. Graphics look great. Goodness gracious. And the game has like a little bit of Red Dead Redemption to it. He horseback riding on Seabiscuit right now. Then pulled out a knife. Joker's a knife fighting doggone Mafia, the old country, god dog it. I can't wait for this game. I can't wait. So with that, $50 for a game that looks that good, some people said, hold on. I mean, some people, you just got to convince them, because they said, dag, does this mean that Mafia is actually going to fall off a cliff when it comes to the story and things of that nature? Why is it $50? Well, 2K president David S. Mailer, hopefully I said that brother's name right, his last name is spelled I-S-M-A-I-L-E-R, is Mailer, revealed why it is that price. And it's because the game is going to be shorter than many other modern games. He said, quote, there's a large audience for compelling stories that don't require mass time commitments, end of quote. And that Mafia: The Old Country will deliver a, quote, linear, highly polished narrative experience, end of quote. Now, for me, this is straight up down my alley. I love it. $50. This is, if I had to liken this to something, I'm sure it's going to be something kind of similar to Spider-Man Miles Morales. Everybody wanted to diss on that game and call it DLC. It wasn't long enough. It was a short game. You got to be kidding me. I thought it was a fantastic game. It was a great length. It was engaging. It was tight-knit when it came to the story. That was a great product. Perfect. I am hoping that with games like Spider-Man Miles Morales and now Mafia: The Old Country, $50 to be able to have a game that is more so story-driven. Forget all of the open world stuff. Forget the hundreds and hundreds of hours of different missions that you can do. I just want the story. That's all I want. If I play a game for 12, even 10 to 12 hours, that's great enough for me. If that story is tight, gameplay is awesome, graphics are great, voice acting is on point, that is all I need. I don't need a lifetime to spend in one game to get 100% of all of the achievements and trophies and things of that nature. I'm not going to do it. I don't care about achievements and trophies as it is, so I'm doggone sure not going to go out of my way to divert from a story to do something on the side that has nothing to do with the main story. That's just not the kind of gamer I am. These kinds of games I absolutely love. And I hope that we get more of these. And just the cherry on top, $50. $50, Nintendo. You and your doggone games. $50 Xbox. $50 for Mafia: The Old Man. God, dog. Shout out to 2K, which is under the banner of Take-Two. Shout out to them, doggone it. Maybe, just maybe, I'll say this, maybe, just maybe. Oh, man, it's a big maybe, though. I will say that. Maybe Grand Theft Auto 6 will be $70. Maybe it'll be $70.
Move this man.
God, dog. Oh, man. So y'all don't think so, huh? Y'all don't think it's going to be $70. Hey, they got to do the same banner, man. They got to do the same doggone place of work. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. We'll check on this May 26th of next year, when Grand Theft Auto 6 releases. But let's go ahead, though, and let's get into, before we get off of Mafia, real quick. The other thing is if you pay $60, you're going to get all kinds of stuff. They're talking about weapons, horses, extra costumes that your character will have. So for the price of still less than the average game today, as a AAA title, still $10 less than, you will get a lot of the different things as far as the cosmetics and weapons and things of that nature for just $10 extra. Just wanted to point that out. But let's get into the next story that I actually got from the Gamer. Now, I just mentioned GTA. Now the thing is this. I know a lot of us have, been looking forward to GTA 6. Seems like for a lifetime, but in actuality, according to a former Rockstar Games 3D environment artist who he actually did work on GTA 6, he confirmed that the game has been in development since 2018. Now, O'Reilly also pointed out that development started, quote, after we wrapped up on he said RDR2, end of quote, Red Dead Redemption 2. So as long as no delays happen, because, man, God dog, Rockstar, as long as they actually release May 26, 2026, the game at the end of it all would have been in development for 8 years. 8 years that it would have taken for this game to get to the finish line. Now, the thing that is interesting about that is with a game at the caliber of Grand Theft Auto 6, and we know that the game came out, 2012, maybe 2013. Let's just make sure. I just want to be on the safe side. I'm gonna look it up real quick. It was either 12 or 13. When did Grand Theft Auto 5 release? It was September 17th.
According to Wikipedia, Grand Theft Auto 5 was released in September 2013 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, in November 2014 for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, in April 2015 for Windows, and in March 2022 for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox
Google.
Series X.
You got it, Google. All right, so, 2013, it released. So we have been waiting, essentially, by the time it comes out, it would have been, 13 years that we've been waiting for the game. But in all essence, because it hasn't come out in so long, it seems like it's literally been and it has been, don't get me wrong, it has literally or will be 13 years by the time it comes out. But just the fact that it has been being worked on for the last 8, it'll end up being 8 once it releases. That says a lot. And the reason why I say it says a lot is because, my gosh, I don't even think Red Dead Redemption 2 took this long to actually release. I don't think did it take 8 years for us to get a Red Dead Redemption 2? What year did the original Red Dead Redemption release? Oh, shucks. Oh, darn. The original Red Dead Redemption released in 2010. And Red Dead Redemption 2 released in 2018. Are you? Wow.
You big dummy.
I got to say, I got paused. I had to pause for a minute. I had to let that sink in for a second. Pardon me for the dead air. The thing is, wow. So in actuality, I mean, darn, if we are going off of dev cycles when it comes to this Rockstar, Grand Theft Auto 6 is actually right on track. It's right on track. And we know, oh my gosh, Red Dead Redemption 2 had its set of problems. It did. That gameplay, oh man, sometimes it was delayed. I could feel the controls not being as tight or responsive at times. Man, it was a bit of a slog going through the beginning of that game too. Oh man, the only thing that saved that game was I was already a Red Dead Redemption fan, and it was Rockstar. So I said, listen, man, it's this first 2 hours. Similar to, Death Stranding was a little bit worse. But similar to Death Stranding, though, to a certain degree, it was boring in the beginning. A whole lot of talking, a whole lot of walking. I'm like, man, I'm trying to shoot something. I'm trying to get into some action. And it just wasn't like that. I mean, eventually you got to the cabin and you start having a fight to save, I forgot the woman's name, golly, but she joined your crew. But man, I'm just saying all of that to say, and I'm about to wrap this up, but we know what Red Dead Redemption 2 was and what they brought to the table with that long of a dev cycle with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4's graphics and the things that you could do. So, I mean, that game is endless fun. And the only reason why I know is I wasn't doing so much of the missions, but just looking at YouTube and seeing all of the many, 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 many different things that people were able to do, actually finding different pieces of a UFO and some other stuff. I think Tesla was in the game or whatever. It was all kinds of stuff going on, but it just shows the level of detail that Rockstar can give you if you give them enough time to do what they do. So with that being the case, knowing that they would have had, as long as it doesn't get delayed again, 8 years to have worked on Grand Theft Auto 6, I think that we are going to be in for an absolutely amazing, incredible treat once it releases. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's talk about a little bit of what Sony has going on. And I actually got this article from PSU. So, I mean, this isn't much info, because I do want to make this a little short. I don't want to make this story drawn out too much, but Sony is reportedly working on PSSR 2, in so many words, to improve 4K 120 frames per second locked and offer support for other resolutions. Now, this is coming from Moore's Law is Dead. He is the guy that's actually reporting on this. Now, he notes that the company's goal is to improve 4K resolution at 120 frames per second locked, as well as eventually offer support for other resolutions, including 1440p and 1080p. Can you imagine if a PlayStation 5 is able to do, this sounds impossible. So I want to say, man, take this with a whole mustard seed of truth. 4K at 120 frames per second, a native 4K resolution at 120 frames per second locked. Oh my gosh. If they pulled that off, man, PCB doggone. That's crazy numbers. And this is on the PS5 Pro, but that's not it though. So, like I said, they're going to also try to support other resolutions, like I said, 1440p and 1080p. Now, the next evolution of PSSR 2 will be available, like I said, for PlayStation 5 Pro in 2026. And just to confirm that even more, Mark Cerny, who we know is the lead architect, I call him the ASMR doggone king. That's the ASMR king right there. That joker, the way he gives a presentation. He actually said that on the PS5, he said this on March. He said in March to Digital Foundry that he wants something similar to FSR4 available for PS5 Pro in 2026. So these guys are actually working on this right now. Mark Cerny, Sony, all of the people that are in that room that are on the hardware team, they are working to get these kind of results. That seems very, very far reaching. Oh, shucks. But I am very interested to see if they can even get remotely close to a 4K resolution at 120 frames per second locked. Oh, shucks, man. If Cerny can pull that off. Now, we know this guy is an absolute genius. I know that sometimes we throw around the word genius a little too freely sometimes, but that guy, no. That guy is extremely smart. So if he's able to pull this off, oh my gosh, that would be unbelievable. But only time will tell. We got to wait till 2026 to see if he actually gives the results to us that he told Digital Foundry that he's trying to do. But let's go ahead and let me see it. This next story I got was actually, this is Xbox related, if I'm not mistaken, but I got it from The Gamer. So this is the thing. Oh, man. Listen, I know I give Xbox a hard time about their shortcomings because I feel like for the longest time, they haven't looked out for their fan base. They haven't looked out for their fan base's best interest. I feel like they sold them out, in certain instances. I was interested. I was having a conversation yesterday, man. Shout out to Kenyon. We were having a good conversation, and he was like, man, they pretty much just sold out. They sold their fans out. And I'm like, man, you know what? Pretty much. That's what they did, putting their stuff on PlayStation, not taking the priority, of actually, making their fan base feel like they cared or that they really appreciated their business, as it were. So, yeah, they sold them out for the most part, but I have to say this, when PlayStation is messing up, I also come at them as well, not giving their upgrades for free like Xbox does. They will not give you those upgrades for free. $10, chafe. We need $10. That's PlayStation, but it is what it is. If you don't like it, don't support it, but I ain't gonna lie, they got me with that Days Gone, man. They got me with that one pretty bad. I kind of wanted it, and I don't regret it. Man. But the thing is, listen, when they both mess up, I think everybody should call them out. But I also believe that if they do something right, even if it's Xbox, oh man, you gotta give them their props, because man, I've been mentioning their name a lot in this episode, but according to Digital Foundry, Doom the Dark Ages run. Oh, man. Listen. Hey, you know what they say? A clock is right, at least, 2 times a day, a clock is right. But according to Digital Foundry, Doom the Dark Ages runs best on Series X.
What did he say?
Are you kidding me, Digital Foundry? Oh, shucks. They said the Xbox version of Doom the Dark Ages runs better than PlayStation 5. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Listen, if you're going to bring those games over to PlayStation, and I know Xbox, y'all all about the bag. All of these companies are about the bag. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to make money in order to keep the doors open. I get it. But if you're going to do it, then, oh man, this is nice. It kind of gives your fan base a little bit of, some bragging rights there. Look, yeah, y'all got the game, but the game runs better on, our platform. I like stuff like that. I like the pettiness of it. Now, who knows? Maybe this could be resolved in a patch, and of course, the game is not released yet, so they have time to patch it and get the PlayStation 5 version up to snuff where it needs to be, in that post patch. But, as it stands right now, yeah, they're saying that the Series S is the best place to play. They said it's the smoothest running version, whereas the PS5 version is coming up short, even to the point that it was reported that the Series S at times, frame rate, fluid-wise, feels better than the PlayStation 5. You mean to tell me that at certain times the Series S is running better than the PlayStation 5? Man, get me the heck out of here. I gotta go. Are you kidding me? Oh, shucks. This has to be an optimization problem. The Series S is running Doom the Dark Ages at times better than the PlayStation 5. Oh, man. Yeah, that's yeah. That's a lot to the doggone take in. Now, listen, man. Let's keep things in perspective, okay? That doggone, yeah. They might have lost this one. PlayStation might have lost this one. It looks like they lost, but let's just keep it in perspective. Now, the PlayStation 5 version does mostly run at 60 frames per second, but compared to the Series X, it drops into the 50s more often than you'd expect. Now, for some of you, you might bring up the PlayStation 5 Pro. Well, what about Big Bro? What about the PS5? What about the muscle? What about the muscle of the PS5 Pro? Well, reports say that the performance is better, but the graphical settings between the Pro and PS5 are more or less the same. And, quote, Series X, when it comes to this game, running it remains king. End of quote. So it looks like, as it stands right now, according to Digital Foundry, that Xbox, when it comes to Doom the Dark Ages, their game, when compared to the PlayStation 5 version, Xbox has the better running version. Congratulations. Congrats, Xbox. They got a W, doggone it. Looks like they got a W. And I genuinely mean, I love to see it. I know Xbox is on life support. I'm hoping some kind of way, miraculously, they'll get out of this. They're not, though. They're not. But I do love the fact to see that at least at this moment in time, that the Series X is the better running version when compared to the PlayStation 5. I do love it. God, dog. Let's go ahead, though, guys. Let's get into the next situational here, which actually has to do with, did I say situational? I mean, man, let's just get to the next story. EA is in this one, so I got this story from The Gamer as well. Now, like I was mentioning before with Mafia, the old country, being $50, Jack, being $50. Amazing, incredible, especially since we know, like I mentioned earlier, that we have Xbox out there talking about some of their games are going to be 80, and Nintendo talking about, man, they always got the top mother lovers, $80 and $90, depending on if it's a physical copy or not. So the price of games essentially has gone up 2 times in one generation. We have never seen that ever happen. And I know that some people want to talk about games being crazy expensive from back in the day, $89.99 for games on Super Nintendo and $70. Listen, I think I talked about this. I only remember Street Fighter 2 being that high, $75. I'm looking at these articles and I'm like, man, I don't remember it being like that, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm not used to these prices. Well, I ain't gonna say I'm not used to them. I mean, some of them prices were a little crazy, I guess, back in the day. Some of them was a little wild on the Sega Genesis. So, okay, I'll kind of walk with you on that. But we're in a time where gaming has never been this accessible. Everybody has access to gaming at a much cheaper cost, despite the doggone Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo consoles being higher to actually get into. Once you get in, you get these sales digitally on these different games. Man, you can pick up some dope games for 50% off, 75% off, crazy deals on the console. So gaming is a lot more accessible than it used to be, but I don't want games to go up to no 70. Well, they're at 70 now, but $80 and $90. And shockingly, it seems like one of the biggest companies out there doesn't seem like they're going to be doing this at least anytime soon. And that is EA. Out of all people, EA, shockingly, is not going in the same direction as both Microsoft and Nintendo. And I'm going to say possibly PlayStation, because you can never rule them out. But during the latest EA earnings call, CFO Stuart, I think his name was Canfield, he said the company, quote, reflected no changes in our current strategy at this point. End of quote. So as it stands right now, and we can only speak for this moment, EA is not going to raise their prices any higher than where they are right now. Doggone EA. EA. Told you these jokers been turning the ship around for a while. Shout out to them. You know, now how long it's going to last, we don't know. But again, give credit where it's due. Right now, again, we can only go off of what it is right now. Hey, who knows? Next month, I don't know, EA might be on some bulls, so you never know. College football, $90. I mean, it could happen. You never know. But as it stands right now, they have no plans on actually changing any of those things as it stands right now. Not changing any of their strategy at this point. But let's go and let's get into the final story of the week, which I got from Comic Book. So, yeah, I got to start this off with, this is absolutely rumors.
Rumor has it is something that only I know.
I'm going to tell you, I got to start this off with saying, I don't believe this will ever happen. I mean, I'm not a gambling man, but I'd probably put $5 on this. You know, that this is not going to happen. But when you're hopeful about something and you're into something, you're always kind of willing to entertain certain things. And this kind of runs into that type of situation for me. Because over on the GTA 6 Reddit page, it points out the numbers or the time 11:08. Now, it appears not just in the new GTA 6 trailer, but the new GTA 6 screenshots. And I'm sure y'all know where I'm going. So once on a phone, the other time on a watch. So yeah, it was on a phone at one time, then it was on a watch on another, time. So because Rockstar is so detailed, I mean, these guys know exactly what they're doing. They're so detailed in their presentations. Some people don't believe it's an incident. I mean, not an incident, a coincidence that this is happening. So some people, oh man, we about to get into this stuff again. Some people believe it's the next time we'll get a trailer. We're going to get a trailer from Rockstar. I don't know if that's the case, that we'll get something, we'll get a trailer from Rockstar, because this could be a troll. Now, when you do the 11:08, which is the time, it makes you think of, okay, it's November 8th. You know, maybe that's the day that they're going to show off the next trailer. Trailer number 3 for Grand Theft Auto. But when you look it up, that actually falls on a Saturday. So ain't no way that's happening. But then when you switch it around and you see, okay, it's 08/11, August 11th. Okay, that works because that is a Monday. So that's when the next trailer is about to be shown.
Did I say? Say it again. Say something else. Oh, say something else. Say something else.
Man, listen. This ain't me. I'm not saying this. I'm just simply pointing out that doggone over on the GTA 6 Reddit, they think that the next trailer for GTA 6 is going to happen on August 11th, 2026. Now, I already said that I didn't think this was going to happen. I'm just reporting on what people are saying. Now, again, man, listen, you better take this with a mustard seed of truth, because I don't believe it. We were lucky to get that doggone trailer. They had that trailer in the tuck. We know that Rockstar said, look, people going to be mad. They're going to be upset at us. I mean, we're Rockstar. We can do what we want to do. But look, we don't want to make them too upset. Let's just throw that trailer out there. We ain't going to have to do nothing until bare minimum next year. We'll give them another trailer next year, and that's going to be the end of it. So, yeah, I don't think that Rockstar is going to appear anytime during this year. But we will see what happens in the future. Anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week, which leads us into our final topic for the show, which is the question of the week, or should I say our final section of the podcast, which of course is the question of the week. And like I say every single week, thank y'all for being here. It is greatly, greatly appreciated to have you guys along for the ride. But the question this week is, will this generation be extended? Now we do understand that usually the way it used to work, I mean, things have changed so much when it comes to consoles. At one point in time, we knew that every 4 to 5 years, it was going to be a new console cycle. Then Xbox 360 happened along with PS3. And then that messed us up a little bit because we went from 05 to like 2013, I believe. So it was 8 years, 7 or 8 years. Hold on, let me double check that. Let's double check, because man, I can't quite remember. When did Xbox One release? Yeah, November 22nd, 2013. From 2005 to 2013. That's 8 years, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, just wanted to make sure. Yeah, 8 years. So we've seen it happen before. Now that broke all of the rules that we were used to in console gaming. Like I said, 4 to 5 years, we were on to the next console. Now we see it was 8 years, at that time. And now, when did the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, they released, in 2013 to 2020. So pretty much another 8 years. So that seems to be the standard now. But the thing that I'm curious to know, and the reason why I'm asking this question, is things have really changed a lot even since that generation, where now things are getting higher. The consoles are getting higher. The games are getting higher, depending on what you're trying to get. So, which we all know, and we talked about it a little bit last week, that's going to make it so the casual, not as many casuals are going to come into this generation because of the barrier to entry. Again, I'm not saying cry for them, oh man, woe is them, I'm sorry you can't get in. No, it's not any of that, because people have money for what they want. People have money for what they want to get. So if it's that important, they could get in. But my question is, well, not even a question, but my thought is, with it being so high, so expensive, that's going to keep away a big chunk of the market possibly. And because of that, we know that the PS3 and the Xbox 360 generation went longer because they were trying to recoup their money. They were trying to get their money, especially Xbox. Man, oh man, that red ring of death was horrible. And then PlayStation 3, they started out real slow, being very expensive and having to get their price point down. They had to extend the generation in order to get their money, recoup their money. So with it being a situation where now it's a lot more expensive to get in, you're not going to get as many customers, especially Xbox. I mean, God dog, they pretty much making it hard on themselves. Nintendo, they're not making it very easy on themselves either, with their price points. So I'm thinking, if they're trying to get their money back and they want to recoup, their money, could it be a situation where this generation will go longer than the possible 8 years in order for them to get their money back out of this generation? Because of the tariffs, prices are going up. The older the generation is, prices are going up. Never seen this before. two price increases for games in one generation, something we've never seen before. So with these kind of barriers to entry, could it be a situation where less people are going to adopt this generation and they're going to sit on the sideline, which means that PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, not really, but just for the sake of the conversation, Xbox are going to be like, look, man, we can't release another console yet. Let's just wait. Let's let this ride out for a little bit longer, especially now that we know that Mark Cerny is actually working on something similar to FSR 4, I believe, to make the PlayStation 5 Pro even stronger next year. So I'm just curious to know your thoughts. If you do want to be a part of the conversation, as always, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-627-9087 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and again, thank you guys for being here. So with that being said, before we wrap this thing up and put a bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until next Sunday when we do it again, until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.